The Orange County Sheriff's Office mourning the loss of a female lieutenant. She was reportedly shot and killed by her estranged husband, who was also a sergeant with that.
On the morning of October 14, 2024, the peace of an Orlando suburb is shattered by a discovery that grips the heart of the community with a cold hand of mystery. Lieutenant Elawilda Ellie Shea, a respected and dedicated officer of the Orange County Sheriff's Office, is found dead in her own home. The scene presents itself as a suicide, but the placement of the gun and the arrangement of the room suggest a more sinister reality. The thought of her taking her own life leaves friends, family, and colleagues reeling in disbelief. How could a woman so full of life and purpose find herself in such despair? Was it truly suicide, or does the scene hide a darker story? Welcome to True Crime Angle. For more gripping true crime stories like this, subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on the latest investigations. Share these stories to spread awareness and ensure you and your friends are part of the conversation on these critical issues. Now, let's crack this case wide open. As questions mount, investigators delve deeper, challenging every assumption. Why would Ellie, celebrated for her commitment and at the height of her career, choose to end it all? Who might benefit from the tragic end of a woman whose life work was to protect and serve? This enigma sets the stage for a gripping journey into the investigation. The initial appearance of suicide begins to crumble under scrutiny, hinting at deceit and betrayal. What secrets did Ellie's life hold? As we pull back the layers, we prepare to unearth a web of lies that threatens to shake the very foundations of the community Ellie loved and served. In the heart of Orange County, Lieutenant Elawilda Ellie Shea stood as a beacon of integrity and compassion. Her career in the sheriff's office was more than a job. It was a lifelong commitment to fostering safety and trust within her community. Ellie, known for her boundless energy and dedication, had quickly risen through the ranks, earning respect and admiration from her colleagues and those she served. Her approach to law enforcement was characterized by a deep empathy and a proactive stance on community issues, often going beyond the call of duty to help those in need. Ellie's work often involved sensitive cases that required not just a keen investigative mind, but a profound understanding of human emotions and conflicts. As a figure deeply embedded in the fabric of her community, Ellie's sudden death raises immediate questions. The shock resonates through the ranks of the Orange County Sheriff's Office and beyond, stirring a mix of sorrow and disbelief among those who knew her. How could someone who lived her life championing the cause of others end up in such a tragic scenario? This stark contradiction casts a long shadow over the initial assumption of suicide, prompting a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding her death. As we delve deeper into Ellie's life and career, the mystery only deepens, laying the groundwork for an investigation that will test the limits of the community's resolve and trust. What hidden struggles did Ellie face? And who would have the most to gain from the loss of such a dedicated public servant? The answers to these questions are crucial, as they may reveal much more than anyone in Orlando could have anticipated. Upon the arrival of first responders at the home of Lieutenant Elawilda Ellie Shea on the morning of October 14, 2024, the scene they encountered was immediately and profoundly distressing, yet seemingly straightforward. Ellie was discovered in her bedroom with a gunshot wound to the head. Beside her, a gun was placed in a manner that suggested her hand had last held it, and nearby, a note, its contents a farewell, aimed to corroborate the grim tableau as a suicide. The initial investigation, led by seasoned officers who knew Ellie not just as a lieutenant, but as a friend and colleague, was steeped in a heavy mix of professional duty and personal shock. The placement of the weapon and the presence of the note initially led investigators to approach the scene as a suicide. This preliminary conclusion was drawn from the arrangement of the room, which bore the hallmarks of a self-inflicted injury, a conclusion that nobody wanted to draw, but which the evidence at first seemed to support. However, as the forensic team began their meticulous work photographing the scene, collecting gunshot residue samples, and documenting every detail, the simplicity of the initial assessment started to give way to doubts. Questions arose about the angle of the gunshot wound, the positioning of the firearm relative to Ellie's body, and discrepancies between the note's handwriting and Ellie's known penmanship. This emerging complexity transformed the scene from a straightforward case of suicide to a puzzle that demanded deeper investigation. The detectives were faced with a challenging task: to peel back the layers of what was initially seen as a clear-cut case of suicide and probe the possibility that there might be more to the story. What hidden factors could have influenced the scene? Was the placement of the gun and the note truly indicative of Ellie's actions? Or could someone else have staged this scenario? As the initial stages of the investigation into Lieutenant Ellie Shear's death progressed, the case took a significant turn. The autopsy results brought the first major revelation. The angle and distance of the gunshot wound did not align with typical suicide cases. This crucial piece of forensic evidence suggested manipulation of the scene. Simultaneously, the investigation team delved into the digital and surveillance data available from Ellie's home and the surrounding area. This technological inquiry soon began to reveal inconsistencies that contradicted the narrative initially suggested by the physical evidence at the scene. Notably, surveillance footage did not corroborate Anthony Shear's statements regarding his whereabouts at the times leading up to and following Ellie's death. His narrative, previously unchallenged, began to crumble under the weight of digital proof. Moreover, a breakthrough came from Ellie's phone, which had been left at the scene. Forensic analysts recovered deleted texts and a last-minute voicemail that Ellie had sent, which conveyed a tone and content inconsistent with someone contemplating ending their own life. These messages hinted at an impending confrontation and suggested that Ellie was preparing to expose certain truths she had uncovered. These emerging discrepancies shifted the trajectory of the investigation dramatically from suicide to a potential homicide staged to appear as self-inflicted harm. Each piece of digital evidence added a layer of complexity, pointing away from the despair of a troubled officer to a calculated act designed to mislead and misdirect. As the digital evidence mounted, so too did the urgency to unravel the full story. What was Anthony trying to hide? How did the digital footprints left behind by both Ellie and Anthony tell a different story from the one initially believed by the investigators? The shift to homicide investigation was now fully underway, turning every piece of previously overlooked evidence into a possible key to unlocking the mystery surrounding Ellie's tragic death. As the investigation deepens, the focus shifts to Anthony Shear, a former sergeant in the same sheriff's office where Ellie served. Anthony's career, once promising, ended under a cloud of misconduct allegations that had sullied his reputation and strained his professional relationships. This backdrop of professional turmoil paints a complex picture of a man grappling with the pressures of law enforcement and the fallout from a tarnished career. Anthony's tenure at the sheriff's office was marked by both commendations and controversies. His rise through the ranks was initially rapid, indicative of his pressures mounted. So did the mistakes. Allegations of misconduct, still shrouded in whispers and sealed files, eventually led to his premature departure. This professional decline coincided with increasing personal troubles, suggesting a life coming apart at the seams. Anthony and Ellie's marriage, once a union of mutual respect and shared career goals, began to unravel as Anthony's career faltered. The discovery of Anthony's affair was the catalyst for escalating conflicts, with Ellie's growing distress evident to those close to her. Friends and colleagues of Ellie would later recall the transformation in her demeanor. From vibrant and proactive to withdrawn and troubled, painting a picture of a woman caught in a web of betrayal and inner turmoil. The day of the crime is reconstructed through a minute-by-minute timeline, juxtaposing Anthony's erratic movements with Ellie's last known activities. Security footage, phone records, and eyewitness accounts revealed that Ellie spent her final hours in a state of heightened agitation, possibly confronting Anthony about the affair and its implications. Meanwhile, Anthony's actions, marked by suspicious absences and unexplained detours, suggest a man on the brink of committing a desperate act. As the layers of Anthony and Ellie's seemingly perfect life are peeled back, a haunting question emerges. What can the unraveling of such a life reveal about the masks worn by those who live it? How do personal failures seep into professional lives? And how does the public facade reconcile with private despair? The investigation into Ellie's death exposes not just a crime, but also the deep fissures within a marriage and a career, offering a stark reminder of the complexities that lie behind the public faces of those who serve and protect. What started as a simple investigation into a possible suicide has morphed into a full exploration of life, love, and betrayal in the shadows of law enforcement. The truth, as it begins to emerge, promises to be as shocking as it is revealing, challenging everyone involved to confront their beliefs about loyalty, justice, and the human capacity for deception. The culmination of the investigation into Ellie Shear's death arrives with the arrest of Anthony Shear. His apprehension unfolds dramatically as law enforcement swiftly coordinates the effort, reflecting the gravity and urgency of the case. The news of his arrest sends ripples through the community and the sheriff's office, stirring a mix of relief and profound shock. Colleagues, who once worked alongside Anthony, struggle with a sense of betrayal, while the public grapples with the unsettling revelation that a trusted law enforcement officer could commit such a heinous act. The trial that follows is a meticulous affair, laying bare the facts of the case against a backdrop of intense media coverage. Prosecutors present a compelling array of evidence, from forensic details that refute the suicide narrative to digital records that expose Anthony's deceit. Key testimonies from fellow officers, friends, and forensic experts further cement the case, painting a picture of a premeditated act cloaked in deception. The trial culminates in a tense, emotionally charged moment as the jury returns with a verdict of guilty, sealing Anthony's fate and bringing a somber closure to the legal proceedings. The impact of Ellie's murder on the Orange County Sheriff's Office is profound and far-reaching. It prompts a thorough review of how internal issues are handled, sparking initiatives aimed at improving transparency and trust within the force. Discussions and workshops on ethics and the psychological assessment of officers become more frequent as the institution takes steps to ensure such a tragedy is never repeated. In the wake of the trial, the community and Ellie's colleagues seek ways to heal and honor her memory. Memorials are established in her name, and initiatives she cared about are revitalized, ensuring her legacy of service and compassion continues. These acts of remembrance serve not only as a tribute to Ellie, but also as a foundation for rebuilding trust and integrity within the sheriff's office and the community it serves. As the documentary concludes, reflections from those who knew Ellie best, colleagues, family, and community leaders, offer a poignant commentary on the nature of justice and the indelible mark Ellie left on their lives. They speak to the dual need to remember and learn from the past, to ensure that the values Ellie stood for continue to inspire and guide future generations of law enforcement professionals. The tragic case of Ellie Shear teaches us several profound lessons about trust, integrity, and the complexities of human relationships, particularly within institutions tasked with protecting us. It reminds us that transparency and vigilance are crucial in maintaining the ethical standards of any organization, especially law enforcement. The story also underscores the importance of support systems and mental health resources within high-stress professions, Ensuring that individuals in such roles receive the psychological support they need can prevent personal crises from escalating into tragedies. It's essential for organizations to foster environments where concerns can be openly discussed and addressed without fear of reprisal. Encouraging open dialogue and implementing regular reviews of ethical practices can help maintain the trust and integrity of any institution. For individuals, it's vital to seek help when feeling overwhelmed and to support colleagues who may be struggling. Building a community where individuals look out for each other can strengthen personal and professional bonds and prevent critical oversights. What are your thoughts on the measures needed to enhance transparency and accountability within law enforcement? How can these institutions better support their members to prevent such tragedies? I welcome your opinions and any advice you might have on fostering a healthier, more open professional environment. If you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Next time, we'll uncover another case where betrayal, secrets, and unimaginable decisions change lives forever.